Hello and welcome to Delaware Valley University. Today we're going to go over some important information on how you pay for your education. My name is Sarah Tomlinson. I'm the Director of Student Accounts here at Delaware Valley University, and I head the office of the bursar. So we are the office that sends out all of your tuition statements. If you have questions on charges on your account, you can talk to us. But today we're going to go over some important information that you're going to need when you receive your first invoice. One of the main things we want to stress, and we're going to say it a couple of times so it may seem redundant to you, is that it is very important for students to read their DelVal email. You should have already received your login credentials, so your username and your password. That is what gives you access to your DelVal email. We encourage you to start using that now before the start of the semester so that you get into the habit. And you can also link that to your phone. So most of you probably have smartphones, and you can set that up on your smartphone so you can get that email no matter where you are. We don't want students to miss out on important information and deadlines. So we will stress numerous times in this presentation that it is important for you to read your DelVal email, as that is our official form of communication. We're not going to email you on any other email address. You have your DelVal credentials, and we expect that you're going to start using those. The second thing I want to go over is your FERPA rights, your Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. What that means is the government considers you an adult, even if your parents do not, and as such, we cannot release any information about your account unless you give us express written permission. There are FERPA waivers that you'll be receiving at orientation. They'll be in the folders. Those must be completed by the student and signed in person in front of a university staff member. If you can't get that done in front of a staff member, you can get it done at home and then sent in, but please note that you will have to have that notarized. There are 3 different things you can release with the FERPA waiver. You check those individually. The Office of Student Accounts, your student account details, which is the bursar's office, your academic record, which is the registrar's office, that's grades and schedules and things of that nature, as well as your student conduct information, that's residence life. You can check any or all for someone, so you may have one parent access your academic records and one parent access your billing records. We review that every time someone calls in on the account. We also want to note that sometimes there's confusion. You handing in a FERPA waiver does not mean that that automatically grants someone online access to your student account through our online bill pay system called TouchNet. That is a separate process, which we'll go over later in the presentation. Once also you have a FERPA on file, let's say you put both parents in, that does not mean that we are now going to start contacting parents with information. Information is always sent to the student, not the parent, from our office, and those emails are always sent to students. Phone calls, if you call in, we will check that we have a waiver on file, but there has been some confusion. Just because we have a FERPA waiver on file does not mean then that we're mailing information home to parents. What exactly does the bursar's office do? Well, as I mentioned previously, we send out your bills. That makes us very popular. Everyone, I'm sure, waits with bated breath to receive that notification every month. But we do 2 things. The first bill you receive in a semester, you're going to get at the beginning of fall and the beginning of spring, you're going to get a packet in the mail. After that, your bills are going to be online only unless you specifically opt in to continue to receive paper invoices. Part of our green initiative is to cut down on the amount of paper we use at the university, and this is part of that process. What else we do? We apply the financial aid. So financial aid giveth, the bursar's office taketh away. So they set up your financial aid award letter, and we disperse those to your account. We manage the automatic payment plans. So if you want to utilize a payment plan, that payment plan is managed through the bursar's office, and we can assist you with all of that. And the most popular function that we have is processing refunds. So when you have an excess of credits, so aid, cash, any other type of credit on your account that's greater than your charges, and you're eligible for a refund. At the beginning of the semester is our busiest time to process refunds, as you can imagine, and e-refunds are given priority. So one of the things we'll talk about later in the presentation is how to set up that you can get your money wired directly to you rather than waiting for an e-refund. Rather than waiting for a check. We do encourage students to sign up for e-refunds now before the start of the term so that everything is in place, and that way your process is smoother. We will begin issuing checks the 4th week of the term. So again, we encourage you to sign up e-refunds. Those are given the priority and they're processed sooner in the semester. And checks, just to note, are written to the student. They are not written out to the parent. So while the parent typically or someone else is typically helping a student pay for their education, those refunds are issued to the student. And we will not issue a refund if your financial aid is still pending. So there's 2 sections on your invoice that you see. The top section is what is actual and dispersed on the account, and the bottom section is pending. Until that pending activity, that typical financial aid is dispersed, you won't be issued a refund. And of course, any payments that you send in, we process and apply those to your student account. This is what a typical semester will look like for tuition and fees for a new student coming into Del Val. Your tuition, your activity fee, your comprehensive fee, and your one-time contingency deposit. So that deposit is kept on the record, on your record, until you graduate, and that $150 is then refunded less any miscellaneous charges you may have left on your account, such as a library fine or a parking ticket or anything like that. If you are a resident student, this is if you're in a basic residence hall and you have a 7-day meal plan. And then, so your tuition and fees in your room and board, your average is $25,690. Your bill may vary if you have a different dorm, if you choose a different meal plan. So that's a per semester, so that's twice a year. We don't want confusion. This is not for the whole year, this is one term. So it's important for students to really understand education, the cost of the education, and what needs to be done in order to fulfill your financial obligation to the university. One of the things you're going to hear about quite a few times too is the health insurance. We do offer health insurance for our full-time undergraduate students. Some of you may already have coverage through your parent or through another employer, but what's going to happen is you're going to see on your first invoice a charge for the university-provided health insurance. If you need that insurance, you can go and actively enroll in that coverage. It is effective for an entire year, August 1st through July 31st. So you get 12 months of coverage. If you do not need that, you must complete the online waiver to opt out of the insurance. Once you complete your waiver online, we'll remove that charge from your account. The waiver site is currently open. You can simply go to www.delval.edu/waiver and follow that process. You need your 7-digit ID number, you need to know your date of birth, and you need to have your insurance card in order to complete that waiver. If you do not need the coverage, the due date for the fall term for you to pay your financial obligation is July 31st. That charge will remain on your account past then. And we will expect, if you have not waived coverage by then, that your financial arrangements cover that cost. So we encourage students to go out now and complete that waiver as soon as possible so that charge can be removed. If you complete the waiver prior to July 31st, the charge won't even show, prior to July 1st, the charge won't even show on your account when you get that invoice in the mail. We don't want students to get caught being charged a late fee because they haven't made financial obligations to cover the insurance which they intend to waive. What are your deadlines? Your bill's going to go out July 3rd. July 3rd is the first Monday in July. The due date for that is July 31st. We will mail you, again, that initial bill. There's going to be a lot of information in it. There's going to be quite a number of inserts, and we know and appreciate that that's a lot of information, and you may not want to read it all in one sitting because it is a lot to take in. And we know in the bursar's office we're the only ones that are excited about those inserts, but we know that there's such important information, and they do answer all of our frequently asked questions that we receive in the office. So we encourage parents and students to take a look at it and take the opportunity to read through it. Your financial arrangements must be full and complete and done by July 31st. The spring term goes out as registration starts in November. The first round of bills goes out November 15th. Again, the initial invoice will be mailed. After that, they will only be online unless you opt into paper invoices, and your full arrangements will be needed to be made by December 15th. Typically, our students, when they make their financial arrangements, make them for the year. So the goal is, if you're signing up for a payment plan or you're taking out loans, you do enough to cover the entire year. So come November, when you get that invoice, you have everything already in place and there's nothing that you need to do. And at that point, it just becomes informational for you to see it. What exactly constitutes satisfactory financial arrangements? The expectation is you must arrange to pay all of your fall out-of-pocket costs by July 31st to avoid the $200 late fee. That can include a number of combinations of ways in which families and students pay. Every family is different, every family is unique, and those arrangements are unique to that family. If you have financial aid, which I think pretty much 100% of our students do, that cost after financial aid, you can pay it in full. You can pay online, you can send in a check, you can enroll in a payment plan that covers that cost. If you enroll in a fall payment plan, you only have to enroll in a payment plan that covers your fall. If you enroll in an annual payment plan, you have to do your fall and what you estimate for your spring. We do check the balance of the payment plans to make sure that you're not enrolling in an annual payment plan for only your fall costs. You can get a private or alternative loan. That loan needs to be completed and certified by the Delaware Valley University Financial Aid Office by July 31st. We do encourage you to start that process sooner rather than later. It can take a couple weeks, and we don't want you to get caught up with a time lag, or the bank is waiting on information and you weren't able to get that loan certified by July 31st. If you have an approved Parent Plus loan, the Financial Aid Office will have that on your award letter. Any payments that won't be here by July 31st. We have a number of students that get outside scholarships. Sometimes those checks don't come in till the start of the term, and that's okay. Just send us a copy of the scholarship letter so we know the amount and we can take that into consideration, and it can be added to your financial aid award letter, because we take all pending financial aid into consideration to look at whether or not your financial arrangements are complete. If sometimes a parent's employer has a tuition benefit, send us the information as to the amount. If you are requesting money from your tuition savings account, your 529, send us a copy of the request. Sometimes 529s will send it before the start of the term, sometimes they won't. As long as we have the documentation and the amount you requested, we can take that into consideration. If you are eligible for post 9/11 GI Bill, so those students who are eligible for that funding from the Department of Defense, we need to know and need to have the letter on file of what percentage you're eligible for, and then we can calculate how much you're going to receive, and we'll take that into consideration. And again, if you expect to waive the insurance, please do so before July 31st, or we're going to have, when we look at to whether or not you've satisfied your balance, you're going to have that number out there. We don't want you to get stuck with a late fee for that. Any combination of these is acceptable. All combinations are acceptable. If you have something that's outside of this list, please let us know so that we can make notes of it in our system. Just contact the bursar's office, and you can just email us, call us, and we'll get to our contact information at the end. What are the different ways to pay? We have an online bill pay system called TouchNet. What it does is it pulls real-time information from our student information system, so what you see is what we see when you call our office. You can make ACH payments through there, enter your account number and routing number from your check, and you can make a direct ACH. There's no fee. It's basically sending a check without a stamp in an envelope. If you use a credit card, please be aware there's a 2.75% convenience fee that is not charged by Del Val. Del Val does not get that money, with a minimum charge of $3. We will not accept credit card payments over the phone. You have to make credit card payments online. You can come to the office. Please don't mail cash. We beg, please don't mail cash. That never ends well. Please, if you have it, bring it to the bursar's office. You can send a personal check, a certified check, a money order. Pretty much we'll take any and all forms of money. If you want to mail it, we have a lockbox. The address will be provided with you. It's up here on the screen. If you have a third-party check that you've received, the 529, an outside scholarship, a brokerage account, we ask that you send that directly to the bursar's office and not to the lockbox. There's usually additional information that comes with those checks. We want to make sure it gets received and processed properly. So please send those directly to campus. A lot of our students utilize the payment plan. Our payment plans opened April 1st for you to receive 12 months of payments. If you register before June 30th, you get 10 months, no down payment. You simply pay your $150 enrollment fee in the annual plan. Please keep in mind, the expectation of the annual plan is that you cover both your fall and spring term costs. If you want to enroll in the month of July, as long as you enroll in that plan before on July 31st, you pay 10% of the amount of the plan plus the enrollment fee at the time you enroll, and then you pay the remaining balance in 9 equal installments, August through April, which essentially is a 10-month payment plan, 10-month payment plan. and you go on. Payment plans are available to students through September 15th. If you intend to enroll in a payment plan, we encourage you to do so before the deadline. Those payment plans you need to be enrolled in them for us to take them into consideration. We encourage you not to delay enrolling in those plans if you would like to utilize those. For those families and students that don't want an annual plan, we do offer a fall-only plan. It's a $100 enrollment fee, and if you enroll by July 31st, during the month of July, it's 25% down and then 3 more payments. So you, in essence, get 4 equal payments to pay for your fall term. If you have any questions on that, there's the bursar's office has a website dedicated to the payment plans. If you need help determining how much to enroll in, we can create a cost estimate for you, and you can use or you can use the budget calculation worksheet on the bursar's website. All of that information is available. We'll be more than happy to email you a cost estimate. And keep in mind, it's going to go to your Del Val email. So if a parent calls and wants an estimate, we're going to email that to the student at the Del Val email. 1, it encourages them to start checking their Del Val email. And 2, typically at this point, we don't have FERPA waivers on files, so we need to send all the financial information to the student. What things are going to show on your invoice as future credits or payments? A lot of times, students who are using the Federal Direct Loan Program, you're going to see under the pending aid your Federal Direct Subsidized and Unsubsidized Loan. If you're utilizing the Parent Plus, you're going to see that. If you've been awarded a Perkins loan or any alternative loans that have been certified, you're all going to show under the pending. Those will typically get dispersed at the very beginning of the term. So when classes start, the financial aid office and my office, the bursar's office, we're working frantically to get your aid dispersed to you so that we can get you moving. As things come in throughout the term, you're going to see those dispersed. If an alternative loan is certified later, that's going to show as pending and be dispersed when the funds come in from the lending institution. Your payment payments will not show as pending on your account, but they will be posted on the 5th of every month. That's the due date of the automatic initiation of the payment plan. So you won't see those, so you'll still be receiving a monthly invoice because as your balance declines, as those payments get applied every month throughout the term. If you are awarded work study or campus employment and you would like to have those payments applied to your tuition bill, that's an easy thing for us to do, but you're not going to see that as pending because that's optional for the students. There's a process in the bursar's office for you to sign a form allowing us to have your paycheck applied to your account. Only takes a few minutes and it's done every term. If you have outside scholarships or third-party benefits, again, if we have that documentation before then, we'll see them as pending, but as those checks and those fundings come in, that's when it'll be dispersed to your account. What are the student responsibilities as far as Del Val and the bursar's office is concerned? As I've mentioned a few times now, we really need you to start reading your Del Val email, and we need you to start paying attention to the biweekly log called Inside Del Val. A lot of announcements will go in there, information you may need. So general information, let's say that the waiver site is open, a reminder to waive your insurance. Some of that will go in Inside Del Val, some of that will go to your email. We request that you really do check it often. We need you to waive or enroll in that online process. Whether waiving or enrolling in the health insurance, it's done online. There's no other way to do it. If you're applying for an alternative loan, again, we encourage you to start that process sooner so that there's no time delay. And we do need you to make all your financial arrangements for the fall term by July 31st. You do want to do that to avoid getting charged a late fee. We encourage you now to go out and become familiar with TouchNet, the online bill pay system I mentioned prior. We want you to go out there, you use the same credentials you use to log into your Del Val email. You can look there, you can see every monthly invoice that's been posted to you. You can see real-time information. You can set up your parent as what's called an authorized user. And what that does is you enter their email and it gives them their own access to your account. So that if a new bill gets posted for you, not only do you get that email saying the bill's been posted, but your authorized user gets that email. And it's just an additional layer of information available to parents. Sign up now for your e-refund. Get that account out there so that if you're eligible for a refund, we can get that wired directly to you. You don't have to wait or hassle with a check. And if you really do need paper invoices mailed to you, that is done through TouchNet. You opt into that under the Agreements tab. And as always, read your Del Val email. This is just a screenshot of what the Del Val TouchNet website looks like so that you get an idea of what the home screen looks like. You're going to see your current balance if you have estimated financial aid. So that's what we call your pending financial aid on your invoice, and what your balance is after that aid. So you can make a payment there, you can sign up for payment plans, you can set up your e-refunds accounts, you can set up authorized users. All of this information is done through TouchNet, and it really is a very powerful tool for you to know financially where you are with the university. We encourage all students and parents to become familiar with it. What are the important dates? We're sending out bills that first Monday in July, July 3rd. Watch for that email. If you've already been out there and set up an authorized user, your parent's going to see it too. Go out there and look at it. You'll get the packet in the mail. Your due date for fall is July 31st. Get those financial arrangements done, get your insurance waived, and get any loan and documentation you may need to the financial aid office completed. Send us all your outside information, 529s, scholarships, benefits, things like that. The last date for you to waive or enroll in the insurance is September 22nd. If you have done neither by that date, we will automatically enroll you in the health insurance. It will be effective for the year, so again, the August 1st to July 31st, and you will be required to pay the premium. We don't want students to get caught up. We will send you reminder emails at your Del Val email as the site closes down and you still have completed neither of those. We'll begin posting our spring term invoices November 15th, and the due date for you to make your financial arrangements for the spring term is December 15th. Hopefully this gives you some idea of the overview of the Bursar's office, and at this time, I'm going to bring up Joan Hawk, the Director of Financial Aid.
Thank you, Sarah, for that presentation, and welcome to Delaware Valley University. We're excited to see everyone here today. And my job today is to go over the financial aid processes and do a little more information for everyone regarding what is going on now in the world of financial aid. So what does the financial aid office do besides send you mysterious letters and documents all during your time here? We process federal, state, and institutional grants. We process loans, both federal and private loans. We do a lot of financial aid counseling for our parents and our students. We make scholarship information available to our students every year, every month, and we publicize that via email, as Sarah mentioned numerous times. That's where that information goes. And we also work with the on-campus employment. That's Federal Work Study and our campus employment program. And something that you may not realize is we also monitor the academic progress of our students for federal, state, and institutional aid, including those Delaware Valley scholarships. My first question to the audience is, did you file your federal aid application? Here's the website. If you have not filed your federal aid application, you can still do so for the 17-18 academic year. This information is on the financial aid website, so if you don't have this at your fingertips, don't worry, we have everything out there for you. Once the student files their federal aid application, the Office of Financial Aid sends out a financial aid award letter. And that is a notice of eligibility for our students for different programs, and it shows the eligibility for the year. It's broken down into fall and spring, because as Sarah mentioned, you're billed for fall and spring. Some types of your financial aid are still estimated or pending. Sarah mentioned that in the presentation. That means there's still something that usually has to be done by the student. We will send updated financial aid award letters throughout the summer to the students as we work through these estimated and pending programs. You can also view your financial aid awards on My Del Val. In order to do that, you would log into My Del Val as the student. You can view your financial aid either by the year or by the semester, and you can also view anything that's missing in the Office of Financial Aid on My Del Val. This is a screenshot of what it looks like when you go into My Del Val. I know a lot of the students have done this already. You want to click on there. Then you're going to go to the financial aid area where you can view your financial aid by term, year, missing documents. It's highlighted here for you. I would encourage you to go out there and look, see what's out there. And this is a screenshot that shows you an example of a student who has had missing documents but resolved those situations. So we also let you know if we've received something. So by this time, if you filed a federal aid application and you have not received a financial aid award letter from the Office of Financial Aid, there could be a few reasons why this happened. One is because it's under your student's bed, so you might want to look under there, see if it's missing. Most commonly, it's because the FAFSA has some errors that must be looked into, because we can't send an accurate financial aid award letter to the student. Or we haven't received some paperwork that we've been requesting from the student. That will typically hold up things if you file the FAFSA. If you don't know and you went out to my Del Val and you don't see a financial aid award letter, please contact the Office of Financial Aid at this point. Sometimes students' federal aid applications are picked for verification. They're selected either by the Department of Ed or the Financial Aid Office. And in order to go through the verification process, the Financial Aid Office requests certain documents be sent to us. Because A, we're going to make sure the FAFSA is correct, or B, we're going to correct the federal aid application based on what you sent to the office. So please pay attention if we've asked for these verification items. It's very important that we get them into the office as soon as possible. And I'll reemphasize that you can visit my Del Val and see if there's anything still missing that's holding up processing of aid. The award letter components are comprised of a couple things. First, we have scholarships and grants. Academic scholarships that you receive from our Office of Admission, or grants and scholarships from the institution or other government sources. You'll also see what's called self-help on a financial aid award letter, and that is typically federal work study or the federal loan programs. Scholarships and grants are comprised of our Del Val academic scholarships, federal Pell Grants in some instances, federal supplemental educational opportunity grants, institutional benefit grants, state grants, and outside scholarship assistance, if we're aware of that outside scholarship assistance. For those of you who are Pennsylvania residents, you may have been notified that you're eligible for a state grant from Pennsylvania. It's termed a FIA grant on the award letter. These FIA grants are typically estimated until school starts, because typically in the state of Pennsylvania, even though the budget may have passed, sometimes they do a little tweaking to that state grant program. If you need some paperwork completed to get your state grant, we will notify you via mail that you either have to list Delaware Valley University at the state grant website, or you need to complete paperwork with the state of Pennsylvania. Other states have their own particular requirements, so you want to make sure and check with your various states of residence. Some students receive federal work study. In their financial aid award letter, the eligibility for the federal work study program is determined by the results of the federal aid application. The award that's shown on the financial aid award letter is the maximum the student can work per term. They can earn less, but they can't earn more without permission of the financial aid office. Students will obtain their positions during welcome weekend, and they will start getting paid bi-weekly as of September 15th. If you have federal work study and decide you do not wish to participate in the program, you can opt out by emailing the Office of Financial Aid or stopping in and letting us know you'd rather not have a job on campus. Students can also sign their earnings over for tuition, as Sarah mentioned, and there's a form for that, and the student would visit the office of the bursar to complete that paperwork. The Office of Financial Aid will communicate with the students over the summer via their Delaware Valley University email about the procedures to have their federal work study position finalized. We will also require a resume, students, so you might want to work on that over the summer. That is required to obtain a position on campus. So work study recipients are required to complete the new hire packet That will be emailed to the students, and it's also included in your folder today. So you want to submit that paperwork during Welcome Weekend. You need to submit actual documents when you come to school on Welcome Weekend. Copies cannot be accepted by the university in order to start working. Human Resources will be available at Welcome Weekend to obtain these documents from you, and reference the instructions in your packet on what is acceptable documentation to bring along that weekend. Some students are not all students are eligible for work study, but we do have a program on campus called Campus Employment, and students can apply to work on campus, and you're just not paid with federal money. It's institutional money. Applications will open up for campus employment after August 1st. And those will be online, so you want to check that out. Interviews with students will start at the beginning of the fall term, and they continue throughout the year as positions become available. Again, resumes will be required, as would new hire paperwork. Every student who applies for federal aid has a federal student loan as part of their financial aid awards, and students can either accept those loans or decline those loans, because every student is eligible for this loan program. That's why you're going to see it on every single financial aid award letter when the student applies for federal aid. You'll see a subsidized loan or an unsubsidized loan or just an unsubsidized loan when we send that initial award to the student. The interest rates have now been publicized by the Department of Ed. You can see them on the slide. 4.45% interest for a subsidized loan or an unsubsidized loan, and there's a small fee attached to these loans, 1.069%. That's taken out of the disbursement. And all first-year students are eligible for a total of $5,500 for their first year in their bachelor's program. New borrowers have to complete a couple tests as first-time borrowers under a federal loan program, and that is complete a master promissory note, that's the actual loan papers stating that you have a loan, and you must also complete entrance counseling. Those two processes are required to deliver those loan funds to your student account and credit you. You would do this at studentloans.gov. It would take about 15 minutes to go through these two processes. If you wish to decline your loans, please email the Office of Financial Aid, and we will remove that from your financial aid awards. Incidentally, if you decline your loans, you can ask to have them reinstated during the year. Sometimes that happens, so you have a whole year to ask for reinstatement. Some students are eligible for a federal Perkins loan, and you will see that on your financial aid award letter. The difference between a Perkins and a federal direct loan is not all students are eligible for a federal Perkins loan. So if you are eligible, we have that as part of your aid awards. Students will receive an email this summer to complete the master promissory note and entrance counseling for that loan program, which is separate. That email will come from the Office of Financial Aid or finaid@delval.edu. Parents can also avail themselves of a federal loan program for parents. It's called the Federal Direct Parent Plus Loan. Parents can borrow up to the cost of attendance at the university. You borrow what you need for the year as opposed to the semester. Even though Sarah explained you get a bill in the fall and spring, when you apply for these types of educational loans, you want to apply for the year, so everything's settled for the year. For the Federal Parent Plus loan, you can either make payments like any other loan monthly, you can defer the entire loan while the child's enrolled in school, or you can make interest-only payments. If you apply for a Federal Parent Plus loan and are denied, a couple things happen. You can either accept the denial, in which case the student can borrow an additional $4,000 unsubsidized direct loan. You can appeal the decision of the Department of Ed, or you can have an endorser for a Federal Parent Plus loan. If the parent chooses the option to get a cosigner or successfully appeals the credit decision, then the parent must complete entrance counseling on the plus loan as well. and file a master promissory note with the Department of Ed in order to have those funds dispersed. And that process happens at studentloans.gov as well. Here's the interest rate this year for the Federal Parent Plus loan that was just announced. It's 7%. It did go up slightly from last year. And there is a fee attached to a Federal Parent Plus loan that is taken out of the disbursement. The fee is a little over 4%. There are 2 steps to apply for a Federal Parent Plus loan on the studentloans.gov. First, you get your credit approval, and then you sign your loan agreement or your master promissory note. And as I mentioned, if you have an endorser or appeal your credit decision, you would have another step, and that is to complete Plus loan entrance counseling. Some students choose to take out private educational loans as opposed to the parent loan. And these are different only in the respect that the federal government isn't awarding the loan funds. These are private lenders that work with educational loans. You apply with a participating bank. They have variable and fixed interest rates. Students will need a cosigner for a private loan. And again, you can borrow up to the cost of attendance and defer the loan while the student's enrolled in school. Although we do encourage students to make interest payments on these private loans while they are enrolled in school. For help on choosing a private loan, you can visit our website. It's indicated here, delval.edu, FindAid/finance, and go to the Student Alternative Loan section where we have literature and tools available for you to make a educated selection. There's other payment options that Sarah mentioned. The financial aid office really deals primarily with the loan programs, grants, and this type of thing. But parents and students also have outside scholarship assistance that they get from schools or local organizations. Parents can use a credit union. If they belong to a credit union, we've seen loans come in from those types of institutions, and credit unions sometimes have their own educational loan products. Parents use home equity, 529 plans, the DelVal payment plan through TouchNet. Sarah went through that process. Parents can use a combination of the Parent Plus loan or private loan and the payment plan. So there's all kinds of ways to make an education at Delaware Valley University affordable. And I want to stress that every single family in the room is unique, as Sarah mentioned, as to how this is all handled. When you're calculating how much to borrow, if you're using a loan program, you can use our Estimating Your Total Cost worksheet on our website. It's a fillable form, and you can plug in the figures and get an idea of what you need to borrow for the year. Please allow for fees on the subsidized and unsubsidized direct loans, and our calculation worksheet allows for the plus loan fee, which is a little over 4%. Nobody wants to borrow $15,000 and then still have a balance due because they didn't account for the fee on the Federal Parent Plus loan. If you need help with this process, our office is there to help you calculate as well, or Sarah's office, the Office of the Bursar, for a cost estimate. So please use those resources, especially the first time around, because it is a bit confusing how financial aid and the Bursar's office works together. Sarah mentioned outside scholarships, and I'll go over this as well. Many of our students obtain these scholarships from outside organizations. You want to send the information to the Office of the Bursar or the Office of Financial Aid. We will put this pending scholarship on your financial aid award letter. That way the Bursar's office can see that information, and you can use that when calculating how much is owed to the university. The funds, when they come to the university, will credit the student account. Sometimes a student will get quite a bit of outside scholarship assistance, and it can affect other financial aid. Typically, what's affected is federal direct loans. It might change from a subsidized to an unsubsidized loan. We may have to remove some aid if a certain amount of scholarship money comes in. First, we adjust self-help, which is work study, or loans, and then we do look at institutional grants at sometimes must be adjusted as well. So please keep that in mind. We notify the student if such a change occurs. Finally, I mentioned this in the first slide, what we do in the aid office. We do monitor the grades of all our students, undergraduate, graduate, and doctorate students. It's called satisfactory academic progress. And we're monitoring two things. We're monitoring the scholarships we receive from admissions, and we're monitoring federal and state aid. It's all tied together. There is a policy, and it's on our website. I have it here. If you just go to the financial aid webpage and go to forms and policies, you'll see it on the left-hand side. I would encourage everyone to read through the policy. We look at a cumulative GPA based on attempted credits by the student. Attempted credits means if you withdraw from a course, you attempted it. If you failed a course, you attempted it. So it doesn't go on earned credit. So that's an important distinction to make. Again, please review the satisfactory academic progress requirements on our webpage, and it's also in the college catalog on the registrar's webpage. Important tips. Yes, you have to file a federal aid application every single year. But the good news is you're no longer putting in estimated income. You're using your prior year's tax return. So when you're doing this for your sophomore year, you're going to be using 2016 tax information, which is already done. There's no more estimating. And we have earlier FAFSA filing dates. So believe it or not, in, let's see, June, July, August, September, 4 months you can file that FAFSA again. Isn't that exciting? So you want to file as early and as accurately as possible after October 1st. We conduct a Financial Aid Awareness Day every semester. Usually the first one takes place midway through the fall semester after the FAFSA opens up. We also ask you to read your Del Val email. As Sarah mentioned, it's very important. We send very important deadline notices to our students, and if you miss a deadline for some aid programs, there's no appeal process for that. It is what it is. So we encourage reading that. We also encourage reading Inside Del Val, which is I think it's a bi-weekly notice to our students that has all kind of events and news from different offices on campus. Students take ownership of the process. Make sure to read your email, fill out the required paperwork, and finally review the Finalizing Your Enrollment checklist that's in your packets today, and it's tailored to the students. So if you're missing any items, this is tailored just to you today. It tells you about filling out your master promissory note online, entrance counseling, verification, health insurance that Sarah mentioned with the websites, and a number of other administrative tasks that you need to complete before you start school. So review that to-do list. It's in your packet. Make sure all relevant tasks are complete. It's personalized, as I mentioned, but it's not an all-inclusive checklist. There's lots of things happening when you come to school, so there may be other things besides what we have on this checklist that you need to complete. Example, housing, application, and things like that. The checklist is also indicated here. It's online for you to review. If you have questions or you need help, that's why we're here today. We took appointments today. You can still stop up and visit the Office of Financial Aid or the Bursar's office. We're open 8:30 to 4:30 every day until 6 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays if you want to make an appointment after work hours. So please let us know if you have any questions and stop in to see us today if possible, and welcome to the university. Thank you.